Hey everybody, Greg here at Videomaker with a Q&A here. So we had a question about copyright. The actual question was whether you needed to put a copyright notice in front of your work. So I'm gonna get to that eventually. The answer is no. But I just wanted to sort of go over the general copyright guidelines here just so everybody is on the same page. So first, I'm just going to read you the legal definition of what is copyright. I'm not a lawyer, so take all this as you will, but copyright is a form of protection grounded in the U.S. Constitution and granted by law for original works of authorships fixed in a tangible medium of expression. Copyright covers both published and unpublished works. So why did I bother reading this definition? Well, within that definition, there's a couple of key things. But let's start with, when is your work copywritten? So you make this video and you're ready to export, and you export it and you post it online. But how do you copyright it? When is it copyrighted? Well, basically, as soon as you put that video and audio and music and sound effects into sort of a fixed form, like something that someone can watch, it's automatically copywritten. So that is automatically your property. No one's allowed to copy it, etc., etc. But there's sort of a catch. Yes, it's copywritten, but if somebody copied it, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to have to take legal action. So this is where copyright registration comes into play. So if you don't register it and you go to court and say, this guy copied me, they're going to say, well, where's the proof of copyright? Like, yes, you did this and you can show me when you made it, but if you need some legal evidence to present in a court, that's where that copyright registration comes in. And actually, it's not that big of a deal to register. I'm just going to review my notes here to make sure I get this right. You just basically go to the copyright website, and I'll post a link below. You can either file online, and then it costs $35, or you can file by sort of paper mail, snail mail, and that costs $55. So once you do that, you also submit a copy of your work. So with that, so they put that in the Library of Congress so that there's a reference. And then you could basically use that copyright that you registered in a court of law to prove when that work was created and that it's yours. So whether you have to do that or not is sort of up to you. So just because you register, well, now you have proof that you could present in a court of law that you actually created this, but you still would have to hire a lawyer to pursue it in a court of law. So, hopefully just telling someone you had the copyright and maybe presenting them with a little bit of evidence would maybe get them to say, okay, well, maybe I don't want to copy this. But in reality, you might have to go to court to do it. But that's going to give you a leg to stand on. So that's really the purpose. A couple other important notes are, if you make a movie, the sort of contents of that movie are copywritten, the way that you took the dialogue and the video and the audio and put it together in that story. But the ideas and concepts, those really aren't covered by copyright law. So you can't say, well, I already had this idea, look, I've got this movie about it. Well, your version of that idea is copywritten, but the idea itself, not so much. So just be aware of that. Also be aware that if you register your copyright, that's a searchable internet database. So, just know that people might be able to find that and know that you created it. Now, there are some rules about being able to use like a fictitious name. So if you're concerned about that in any way, shape, or form, you can follow that route. So it's all on the copyright website. It's actually a pretty good website. It makes it pretty clear. So, and then again, I sort of gave you the answer to this already, but as far as notification goes, I'm going to just look at the date here. Any works published before March 1st, 1989 were required to have the copyright sort of notice on it, but everything after that, it's optional. So it's up to you. If it's yours and you register the copyright and you want to put a notice to sort of deter people, you can, but it's not required. So one last thing that I wanted to cover is copyright in other countries. So if you copyright it in the US, does that really apply, or will that help you if somebody in a foreign country is infringing upon your copyright? And the answer is some countries you might have some luck and others you might not. So the US basically has copyright agreements between various countries, and you can visit the website to sort of investigate that more if that's something you're concerned about. Hopefully this cleared up all those copyright questions. It's actually fairly simple. So, whereas it might feel like it might be a complex topic, it's actually pretty straightforward. So it's copywritten once you make it in a fixed form, but You have to register it to make it official and be able to have a leg to stand on in court. Side note, the old method, I don't know if you've heard of this, but of putting something in the mail, mailing it to yourself with the postmark, by all accounts, at least according to the copyright website, that will not stand up in court at all, so don't waste your time doing that. 35 bucks, not too bad, just for a little insurance. So you know, if you created something and you're concerned about it, go ahead and register for that copyright. As always, if you would like good tips and information, sign up for our email newsletter. We get lots of good tips in there. And we also sort of just direct you to some of the highlights on videomaker.com. So it's a really great way to sort of sift through all the information, because you know there's a lot of stuff on there. But we sort of point you to the highlights that we think are important. So go ahead and sign up for that if you want. Also, don't forget, if you have more questions, go ahead and post them in the comments, and we'll try to get to those as we can. I'm Greg with Videomaker. We'll see you next time.